Hello, welcome to Starcastic Remarks. Yes, it is my fault that we were late today. I apologize.
He has a job and
I
responsibilities.
know,
What a
right?
loser.
Who has a job at like 10:15 at night, right? Like, who does that?
Cringe.
Only band directors, right? Anyways, let's not talk about that. This is more exciting stuff. Dallas Stars win tonight, Chris, by a final score of 2-0 against the Washington Capitals, man. And this was a absolutely fantastic game from all spots of the game. There were some points when Washington seemed to be controlling the puck a little more, but the Stars still hung in there. Mr. Ottinger made saves, and it was a great win for the Dallas Stars tonight.
Really a grinder of a game, too. I mean, really physical, and this is a game you really have to get. You can't lose 3 in a row. Even losing 2 in a row doesn't feel great. On a back-to-back, you can kind of accept it a little bit, but we really needed to get this one, found a way to get it done. It wasn't beautiful, but it happened.
What was the thing that most impressed you as a team standpoint? Not necessarily individuals, but what was something that stuck out to you as a team?
From the team, I guess it'd be like how we responded to the physicality, because there wasn't a lot of physicality back from the Stars, but there also wasn't a ton of just stupid penalties. You might say that the Marchment one, the slashing, was pretty dumb, but I mean, after getting elbowed in the face and hunted all over the ice all game long, that's totally understandable. But we respond just by scoring goals and going out and winning the game instead of trying to get into this physical battle against a team that's obviously physically superior than us. So we didn't take the bait. We played our game and we beat them.
Can I just say as a side point that Ovechkin still looks like Ovechkin, and the guy is like 37, 36?
It's
right?
incredible. Every time he touches the ice, it's terrifying.
I know,
Like,
it's freaking terrifying.
He's an old man.
He has a shot that like would scare anybody. Literally anybody. So what was your initial thoughts overall in the first period here tonight, Chris? What was something that stuck out to you?
The first period was great by the Stars. I mean, just so aggressive overall. They've been great in first periods the entire year. We need to score more than one goal in periods like this. We need to be ahead by a lot and pile it on. That's the big issue I've had with first periods, but like I said in the broadcast, we're +5 so far in the season in first period. So really good. Continue to be good. Let's keep doing it.
And they continue to have pressure throughout the first period too. But I mean, and I know it's kind of sad to say, but we said this with Rick Bowness too, right? When we would have these great periods where we'd have so much of this offensive pressure and we wouldn't get any kind of extra insurance marker out of the period. And as I especially thought in that first period, they played really well. I mean, so did Washington. Both teams were on their A game for that.
And this game especially felt kind of like one of those Bones games. I mean, we had a lot more rush chances than we would have under Bones, but especially towards the end of the game, it was just like we're grinding and we're gonna hold on to the win. And they held out. So kudos on them.
So not much to talk about in the goal perspective in tonight's game, which is okay. You know, we've seen a lot of 4 and 5 goal wins from the Stars lately, but what is nice to see is that the Stars were able to win a 2-0 game tonight. So if we have to rely, if we have to rely on something like this, we've proven that we can do it. In the first period, the only goal that's scored with about 3.5, well, really it's about 4 minutes remaining. Jason Robertson gets his 3rd of the year from Lundqvist and Roope Hintz. Roope Hintz gets his 6th assist. Lundqvist is really, really starting to look good, and he's starting to make Jim Nill look like a genius.
It's a great play by Lundqvist there.
It was a great shot, great tip all around. Stars are up 1-0 late in the first period.
Yep, and that felt like it was due. And really just a great play by both Robertson and Lundqvist. Lundqvist shot it there knowing it was going to get tipped. Great deflection by Robertson. It was really funny. I saw in the Facebook group earlier, they're like, man, Robertson's kind of off to a slow start. And then right after I saw that, Robertson scores the goal. He's a point per game. There's no slow start. I mean, he can miss camp all he wants as far as I'm concerned. He's playing great. He's a point per game guy right now.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. All right, so anything from the first period, anything else that we need to mention about that?
You got to score more than one goal. That's it.
Okay, going into the second, we need to mention the fact that that Mason Marchment and Hathaway thing. I mean, I thought that was kind of stupid. Did you think that it should have been, offsetting calls like that, or do you think Mason Marchment probably should have gotten the benefit of the doubt there?
After looking at it, I mean, Marchment took a chunk out of the guy's leg. The guy dove for it too, but he took a two-handed hack at him. But like I said, I don't blame him for it. He got a full. I don't know if you saw it, Ryan, but he got a full forearm in the face, wide open, empty eyes, no call on it at all. I mean, in the amount of headshots that Marchman has taken this year that haven't been called, I mean, half of them have been called. I think he has 2 elbowing penalties already on the year. I don't know if I saw elbowing called more than once the entire season last year on all people. So it's weird that Marchman, what teams are deciding to do to shut down Marchman is to try and beat him up because it's not working, and he's gonna outmuzzle everybody still. And even tonight, he had lots of chances to score. He was very noticeable all over the ice. That whole second line was, and yeah, I'm tired of these headshots, and especially them not getting called. That's ridiculous. That's gonna get Jamie Benn or Hocketball into some fights.
If you watched hockey back in the early 2000s and maybe the late 90s, and you watched his dad, Mason's dad, Brian Marchment, they play so similar. It's pretty scary, honestly. So, I mean, I love the way that Marchment plays. I mean, he's kind of a tamer Tom Wilson, if that makes any sense, in the role that
Yeah,
he fills. He's not as stupid as Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson is
there
an
you go.
absolute idiot. So,
Yeah,
but like the role he fulfills is close to the same. He's a top 6 forward. He's very physical. He's not afraid to get down into the dirty parts of the game, if that makes any
yeah,
sense.
agreed. Yeah.
So, all right. So, anyways, going into the second period is much more back and forth, but Washington did control a good portion of that period. At least it felt like. And throughout that second period, after the second period, I think they were talking about it at the beginning of the third, and it really didn't feel like that the time on ice, the possession time was as equal as it was. It seemed like Washington should have had way more possession time, and yet it didn't seem to be that way.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what was up with that. It felt like it was all Washington during that period. I think the Stars had one good, solid cycle in the Caps zone, while the Caps had like 9 or 10. But yeah, I guess the Stars made advantage or took advantage of their one chance.
But, at the same time, I didn't seem to be all that worried, if that makes any sense.
I
You
was
were
quite
talking about.
worried.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
I thought
Maybe it was
they were
just
gonna
me.
score several times. Uh, yeah, I think it was just.
Ottinger just looked on his game tonight. That was. And,
I
and
would
I
debate
know.
that too. I feel like, I mean, Cooper said it best in our group chat. Our little brother, he said that was I don't remember what he said. He said it was like the clunkiest shutout he's ever seen.
Clunkiest. That's like
Yeah,
the perfect word for
because
it.
like there was a lot of just weird plays that Ottinger had to deal with today, and he just didn't look as confident as he normally does. He kind of got there towards the end of the game with those confident blocker punches, but just his glove felt a little off. But I mean, he's deserved multiple shutouts this year so far. So to give him a clunky one, that's fair.
And we're gonna have to mention his stats here at the end of tonight because I'm sure they're still stupid insane. I mean, there are some really good goalies so far this year. Throughout the second period, I honestly thought that there was going to be some points where they would score, but at the same time, you talked earlier this season, Chris, about that anxiety, I guess, that stress that we used to feel in like every single rig bonus game. And I felt it in the 2 games previous when we lost, but for some reason I didn't feel it in this game, and I don't know
Yeah.
why.
I feel like the big thing is like in the bonus style of hockey, goals are so much more important because there's less of them.
That's true.
So it's more likely that more goals are scored in this style, so you don't feel as stressed out when one goes in. I don't know. That's my running theory.
So, what's some of your takeaways from that second period overall, Christian?
The second period was we got out physical a lot. I mean, on the boards, our zone exits were terrible. Again, Suter had a rough game today on the power play and along the boards. He was pretty rough. Uh, Not having Miro is hurting the zone exits a lot, and you could use a guy like Klinger still in that situation. But I think Miller and Lundqvist are starting to get more comfortable with that. Suter has to be better at it. But yeah, not having Miro showed a lot in that second period, in my opinion.
Well, and it shows us even more why it was so important for us to go out and get Nils Lundqvist, because right
Hmm.
now he pretty much is the only puck moving defenseman the Stars have right now.
Yeah.
So going into the third period was fantastic. There was so much action going on. There was so much stuff going on. The only goal scored in the third period would belong to Mr. JFK, Mr. Yoel Kiviranta, who has looked fantastic this year. He's already surpassed his goal total from last year, and he played in like what, 60 games or 70
Yeah.
games or
About
something like
60
that.
games. Yeah.
So he gets his third of the year. It's completely unassisted. It was a breakaway goal. It was shorthanded. And dad jokes and says in our group chat, maybe the Stars just need to go and be shorthanded to get more scoring chances, I guess. I don't know. Because I think
Yeah.
that's like what, the second or third shorthanded goal already this season?
Second of the season on the penalty kill, where the Stars have taken, they're the most penalized team in the league. They're -2 overall in goal differential on the penalty kill. So not bad. Better than a lot of teams 5-on-5.
And then here's the other thing that was a little confusing about how this game was called tonight. But through the first two periods, and we're not used to this, there was only 3 penalties. And I mean, of course, we still had more than Washington. But in that third period, it's like all of a sudden they pulled out the whistles, and here's all these penalties all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
there
officiating
are,
tonight was ridiculous. I mean, let's just be honest. It was terrible. Both directions. I mean, even at the end of the game, Washington was pissed off too, where there was several trips. But by that point, there was so many givebacks that they owed to the Stars, like, doesn't even matter. The elbow on Marchment is unbelievable how it doesn't get called. Literally wide open
yeah,
ice. All
yeah.
4 officials can see it happen. It's a forearm to the face. I mean, it doesn't matter what's happening or where the puck is. I mean, he overskated and tried to go back. It doesn't matter what happens. The hands are up in his face. That should be called every single time. And they blew it dead for no real reason other than they didn't know what to do, but then nobody called anything. So so they knew something was wrong, but nobody had the balls, I guess, to make a call, even though it's not a ballsy call. He got elbowed in the face. That's a penalty. I mean, if that's not elbowing, then elbowing doesn't exist. So, and then there was a ton of just other tripping and terrible. The fact that we had no power plays until the third period, if you watched this game and you saw the way Washington was playing, that's not possible. I mean, that's just not true. There was so many calls that they could have called on the Caps, and they just didn't call. So I feel like the Stars at this point are just getting a bad rap because they've already been labeled as the most penalized team. So they're just getting all the penalties. And because it feels like every penalty that the Stars has, I feel like most of them are penalties, but they're not. We're not getting away with one. I don't feel like we've ever gotten away with one yet this season. Really, even that Lundqvist penalty at the end when we had the power play and
Yeah.
Suter gave up the puck on a 3-on-1. Ridiculous. That's a 50-50 call, and we haven't gotten one of those this year. Every single one has gone to the other team, and that's just been super frustrating. I hope that changes, and that's not a thing that the refs are doing subconsciously and just calling everything that the Stars are having, but that's what it feels like right now. It's really frustrating.
And I know they talked about this on the broadcast too, particularly with that Nils Lundqvist penalty, but it almost seemed like Josh Bogorad thought it was an actual penalty because he mentioned something about like, oh, that's definitely a call that Lundqvist should take. That's a good penalty to take, and I was confused because I honestly didn't think it was a penalty, and then all of a sudden Razor chimed in and said, I don't think that's a penalty either, and neither did Lundqvist. So I thought it was just a good defensive play, and I don't know what a penalty is anymore. I think they just call it whenever they want to if they're bored and they want some mic time, and it's like, hey, family, I'm on TV. But
Either way,
whatever.
this game was horribly officiated, and Caps fans will say the exact same thing.
And we're not going to get into it now, but the NHL needs to figure something out. They need to figure something out when it comes to officiating. Okay, I'm done with that. Thoughts overall from the third period, Christian?
Third period, I mean, same as what I said for the whole game. It was just a grind. They took care of business. Kiviranta with that solo effort was incredible. I mean, the guy is on fire. I'm going to give one more shout out to Delandria. His penalty killing was crazy. The second power play that the Caps had, he was all over Ovechkin, didn't give him an inch, and just took care of him, took out the trash. got out of the penalty kill. He
Well,
was
and
fantastic there.
how about that monster block by Joel Hanley in the third period?
Yeah,
How about
that
that
was
giant block?
Joel
That was
Hanley
huge.
all night long was really great. The only thing that I wanted more of was a little bit more confidence from him because he had a couple chances to make some big pinches or some offensive plays, and he kind of took his foot off the gas. Understandably, he's the seventh guy, kind of makes sense. But with the way he's playing, like take the momentum, go after it.
Yeah, and it almost seems like if Joel Hanley would just get a little bit more confidence, he wouldn't be a seventh defenseman. Does that make any sense? That
Yeah,
smidgen
maybe.
of what he's missing is that confidence.
Yeah, but I mean, he's getting paid right now to be a seventh defenseman. I mean, if you look at his contract, he's making $1.5 million. He's probably the highest paid seventh defenseman in the league too. But it's because he's great at his job, really. I mean, he's totally cold. Comes into these two big games and has played fantastically. So I just think he's in a great spot for him. I know he probably doesn't like being the seventh defenseman, but he does it very well.
Would you be willing to keep him in and maybe scratch somebody else if Miro comes back on Saturday? Because that seems to be the option right at this point. I
Honestly,
think
no.
you really. I think you let him stay in.
Over who?
I mean, I'll make every Stars fan happy. Ryan Suter.
No, not a chance.
Not a
Suter had
chance.
22 minutes tonight of ice time. Hanley had 12.
I can be hopeful, can't I? I'm a Hanley lover. Okay. Anyways, Chris, what happened in tonight's game? What happened? What's the big thing?
The Stars played scrappy. They played a good defensive game. And I want to shout out a little bit to our stats too, because we changed our system. We don't want to be a defensive team anymore. But if you look, 4 of our games that we played so far this season, we've held the opposing team to 1 goal or less. So we still have that defensive gene. The most goals we've allowed is 4 that happened one time to Ottawa, and that's it. Then we had 2 3-goal games, one 2-goal game. So the Stars have been still a good defensive team and a great offensive team. And this time they play a weird game, a game that they don't necessarily want to play. They didn't play great, and they still found a way to win it. And that's what happens with good teams. Good teams find a way to win.
So let's talk about some of those stats. Shots on goal per period. First period, 13-7 in favor of the Stars. Second and third were in favor of Washington, 8-6 in the second, 12-8 in the third, and it's 27 even for both teams there in tonight's game when it comes to the shots. There were some interesting stats also that I wanted to bring up in tonight's game, but it looked like that the Stars were doing a lot better on that faceoff dot tonight. And it was just something I noticed. I didn't really look at the stat, and now I'm looking at it, and I'm like, holy freaking crap. 68-32%. I mean, that I know we've been a really good faceoff team in the past, but I think it's been less of a pushing point with Pete DeBoer than it was with Rick Bowness. But, dude, that's something that you love to see.
Yeah, I think that stat is more due to how bad Washington is at it, because they showed their season stats. They're like bottom 5. So, not great.
I mean, just about everybody was positive in the faceoff dot tonight, and the only person that was Joel Pavelski, and he's not really a center right now. He's a right winger. So, I mean, heck yeah,
yeah. Great.
So,
and Jamie Benn especially. I mean, we brought him into the game at certain points just to win faceoffs for us. Like we had that defensive zone draw. We put him on the second line. I was like, oh, are they trying Jamie on the second line? Nope, he's just there to win a faceoff. And then he got right back off the ice and Gary jumped back on. So he was all over the dot tonight.
And again, I'll point this out. I still love the fact of how he distributes the ice time, how Pete DeBoer distributes the ice time. It's very different than what Rick Bowness did. Rick Bowness was very heavy on the top 4, really relied on his checking line and threw his first line out there for most of the game. Again, nobody has under 10 minutes of ice time. Nobody does. And especially with considering that the fact that you're missing your top not your top forward, your top defenseman right now, that's exactly what you want. You want to spread out the minutes evenly and really allow those guys to get their hands dirty and really take control of this game. I still would like to see more ice time for Joel Hanley, but that's just because I'm a Hanley lever, but it is what it is.
We'll give him his little bit of ice time and let him play good during that. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Biggest winner, biggest loser for tonight, Chris. Who is your biggest winner, biggest loser?
Biggest winner, I'm going to take a little offshoot on the biggest winner. I'm going somebody who's not on the score sheet, Ty Dellandrea. He wasn't on the score sheet, all over the ice. I mean, fantastic on the penalty kill. I feel like he's been our best penalty killer all year, which is out of the blue when we have some fantastic penalty killers in Glendening and Fox as well. Delandrea's been the best. And also his forecheck, he's just a hungry guy. He goes after every single puck. The past 3 games, he has been one of the top 6 skaters on the team, and he keeps getting more and more ice time. His ice time tonight is 15 minutes. I think that might top forwards. It's up there in forwards at least. Either way, he's way high up there in ice time. He's been great. I love him.
Biggest loser?
Biggest loser. I'm going to do the same kind of thing. Someone who I haven't talked about yet. I forgot his name. Hakanpää has not been doing great. The past 3 games, he's really struggled.
I wouldn't say he's sucked, but he's definitely been below average, in my opinion.
I would say compared to the first 4 games of the season where he was great, he has sucked compared to that.
Okay, that is true. I'll give you
He's
that.
taken billions of penalties. He got beat, I think, 3 times cleanly tonight. And in one of those cases, Hanley bailed him out with an amazing play. He cannot get out of his own zone. His passing is awful. I mean, and the reason I'm calling him out is because he played so well to start the year too. Like it's in there. He can be a top 4 defenseman, and it just hasn't been there recently. Pretty frustrating overall.
Yep, our brother Zach, who is number 2 out of the 7, he's in between age between me and Chris. He agrees with you, Chris. So, and I agree with both of you. I really thought that with Miro being out, that he would be able to maybe step up and take advantage of some opportunities, and he hasn't been able to do that yet. So,
and that might be the thing too.Maybe more ice time is exposing him a little bit. He had 20 minutes of ice time tonight, which is probably
a little more than normal.
2 to 3 more minutes than he's used to. So a couple more shifts might be exposing him a little bit more. Might be a little bit more tired. Who knows?
I'm going to go with my biggest loser first, and I got to give it to Radek Faksa, but not because he sucked it up tonight, because he had a really good game tonight, in my opinion. He just can't buy a goal to save his life. Oh, he has the Yanmark effect right now. Yeah. So I'm hoping that by me giving him the biggest loser, maybe that will release him of the curse. I mean, I thought that was going in. I really thought it was when he hit the post. And how can you not give the biggest winner tonight to Jake Ottinger, who gets the shutout? Yes, it was clunky, in the words of Cooper, but who gives a crap? The guy, he saved everything, all right? Yeah. Or got lucky, right?
His stats, he didn't get lucky. He was great.
He got his stats for the season right now. 5 games played. He's 4-1. Get this, a 141 goals against average. And some people may say, oh, well, that's just because he plays it behind a defensive team. Okay.
That's actually his stats not including this game. His goals against average, including this game, it was 117. His save percentage is 960.
Oh, my God.
Compare that to his stats in the Calgary series. Compare that to the stats in the Calgary series. In Calgary, he had 181 for goals against average, and his save percentage was 954. So we said to start the season, he just needs to be close to what he was at in the Flame series. So far, he's been better.
That's freaking ridiculous, man. Absolutely freaking ridiculous.
Right now, through like a decent chunk of games, I mean, he's on the top of my Vezina list. I don't know about you.
Early Vezina, yes.
Early Vezina? He's there.
Early Vezina, he's definitely there. I want to look. I want to look at the stats right now. Yeah, he is number 1. He's tied for first in wins. He's leading the league in save percentage. Goals against. I guess goals against is kind of skewed because not everybody has played the amount of games he has. But still, I mean, if you have fantastic goaltending like that, you can screw up a bunch of times and still be okay.
It's pretty easy to win hockey games with a goalie like that.
I mean, he's let in 0 goals, and the most goals he's allowed in a game is 2. I mean, if you allow 2 goals, you should win the game. You should win the game.
You must
And the
win the game.
way and the way that the style is now, the Stars have the offensive ability with that. I mean, JFK tonight, what the heck? Ty Dellandrea needs a goal eventually, by the way. He deserves one the way he's been playing. Okay, I think that's it, Christian. Anything else we need to mention tonight?
Fantastic. It's great to jump off the losing train quick. You don't want that to hang over your head. Be like, oh, the Stars going to go on a big losing streak now. No, we're not. We're going to win. And we got a good Saturday matinee. Saturday, 1 p.m., New York Rangers in the AAC.
So really quick before we call it quits tonight, I got a lot of announcements to give you guys. Okay. So first off, for the game on Saturday against the Rangers, Uri Kralik is actually going to be joining us for that after game review. So if you didn't hear his Stars Fan Stories episode from this offseason, I highly suggest you go and look that up. He actually now has a writing gig with Defending Big D. So he's going to be joining us, and we're really excited to have him on. What's awesome about him is he's from Slovakia, and he's a Dallas Stars fan. That's pretty freaking cool. And then we also are going to have 2 big interviews coming up here in the next couple of days. Mr. Bruce Levine of The Ticket is going to be joining us here on November the 9th, I believe. And then former Dallas Stars beat reporter of The Athletic, Sean Shapiro, is also going to be joining the show at, I believe, on Sunday. I think that's what we solidified. I talked with him today. So lots of cool things coming on. I'm really interested to see what Sean has to say, and also to hear what Bruce has to say. And I mean, lots of things going on. Good for the podcast, good for the Stars, and I hope this continues. So, any other last minute thoughts, Christian, before we call it quits?
GG, boys.
Johnston's not getting sent back to the OHL. That's my last thought. Along with Chris, my name's Ryan. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. I just opened a bag of worms, but we're going to save it for Wednesday once again, and we will catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good evening, afternoon, whenever you guys are listening. See you later.